For today's team craft kit, I'm going to show you how to decorate a plain white cotton mask to make it tie-dye. You should have 2 bottles of the powdered pigment, a couple of rubber bands, white cotton mask, a plastic baggie, and some gloves to protect your hands. The first thing you want to do is protect your work surface and make sure you're wearing clothes that you don't mind getting dye on. I had a plastic bin that I could use to do this in, but if you don't have something like that, you could put a trash bag down on your table and put some paper towels on top to soak up the extra dye, or you could do this outside on the grass if you wanted to. Just put some paper towels down so you don't get grass on your mask. But you just want to make sure you're not staining your surface or your clothes. So now you're going to want to add water to the dye refill powder so that you can activate it and get started. You can just use regular tap water, that's fine. You're gonna fill the bottle just to the just before where it narrows, because you need a little extra space in that bottle to shake it up and make sure it's all well mixed. So you're gonna fill up both bottles, and you can use a funnel if you're like me and you tend to spill things. You'll want to make sure that you shake the bottles really thoroughly. Some of the pigments seem to take a little bit longer to shake in, like this yellow one stuck at the bottom a lot. So just keep shaking until it's thoroughly mixed in and you don't see any of that concentrate at the bottom. Something else you want to watch out for is to make sure that the cap is on very securely and that when you're shaking it, you're holding that red cap on the top so that it doesn't fly off. Next, you want to get your mask ready. So you're going to soak it in water, and you can do this in your sink. I happen to just use a container because I was working at my desk. But you're going to soak it in there, get it nice and wet, and then wring out the excess water. So now I'm going to show you how to make a spiral pattern for your mask. You're going to pinch the center and just keep spinning it around and try to keep the fabric spiraling around. I know it's a little bit hard to see with my hand in the way, but you're just going to keep spiraling it around nice and tight and wrap all the edges around. Okay. Now this next part is what I had the most trouble with, is putting the rubber band on. So you want to pick it up and hold it securely. And if you're like me, you snap your rubber band, which is why I gave you 2 in your kit. So use your second rubber band and you're going to wrap it around in a crisscross pattern, kind of like if you were doing gift wrap. Might take a couple tries to get it right. It took me a couple of tries to get it how you want it, but just keep messing with it. Try to hold your spiral in place while you work, and eventually it should look like this. Next is the fun part where you actually get to dye it. So you want to make sure to put your gloves on, although I will warn you, even with the gloves on, somehow I still got dye on my fingertips. You should have 2 different colors, so just pick which color you want to go in which quadrant. And you're gonna just start squeezing it in. One thing I do recommend is that you be more careful than I was in taking off the cap. I got red ink all over my glove, and then I kind of got that on the parts of the mask that I did not intend to turn pink, so be a little bit more careful than me when you're doing that. Also, if you put paper towel underneath your work, even if you're using a bin like I am, it can help soak up some of that extra ink so it doesn't get on parts of your mask that you don't want it to. You have more than enough ink to use for these little masks, so use it as liberally as you want to really get that pigment in there. Once you have the first color done, you can switch to the second color. Some of my fuchsia and yellow mixed, so I assume that'll end up coming out a little bit orange, but I don't really mind. I think that'll be a neat effect to have a little bit of variety in the colors mixing. So that's pretty much all you have to do. Now you're gonna slip it into the Ziploc bag and let it set for about 8 hours. If you can do it more or less, that'll make the colors more or less intense. Now I don't have my after version of this, but what you're gonna do after this, once it is set, is you're gonna rinse it in your sink thoroughly until the water runs clear. And then you're gonna wash it on cold in your washing machine to get out any extra dye that's there. dry it as normal, and you'll be all set to go. Make sure that you wash out the sink after you finish rinsing it so that no dye stains that sink. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Fugger Teens.